In this episode, we focus on something that is easy to overlook until it is too late: protecting the integrity of your logs, because logs that can be altered, deleted, or quietly disabled are not reliable evidence. Up to this point, we have talked about capturing identity logs, control plane logs, and data access logs, but collecting them is only half the battle. If an attacker gains privileged access and can tamper with those records, your visibility collapses at the exact moment you need it most. Log integrity is about ensuring that once an event is recorded, it remains accurate, complete, and trustworthy. This is where centralized storage, immutability controls, and tight permissions come together to create a defensive layer around your evidence. Beginners sometimes think of logs as background data, but in reality, they are security assets that must be protected with the same seriousness as sensitive data. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Centralized storage is the first major pillar of log integrity because scattered logs are both harder to protect and harder to analyze. When logs remain inside individual accounts, projects, or services, each one becomes a separate target. An attacker who compromises a workload may have enough privilege to delete or modify its local logs before anyone notices. By sending logs to a central, dedicated location that is separate from the workloads generating them, you reduce the likelihood that a single compromise can erase evidence. Centralization also simplifies retention, search, and monitoring because all relevant events are collected in one structured place. Beginners should imagine this like a security camera system that records footage to a locked control room rather than storing it inside each camera. If a camera is damaged, the footage remains preserved elsewhere. Separation of duties strengthens centralized logging even further. The identities that manage applications and infrastructure should not be the same identities that control log storage and retention. If a developer can deploy systems but cannot delete audit logs, the risk of intentional or accidental log tampering decreases significantly. Investigation questions often depend on proving that logs have not been altered, and separation of duties supports that assurance. Beginners sometimes underestimate how important role design is for protecting logs, focusing more on capturing events than on safeguarding them. However, if the same administrative account can both perform an action and delete the evidence of that action, integrity is compromised. Thoughtful access design ensures that no single identity has unchecked power over both systems and their logs. Immutability controls are another critical component of log protection. Immutability means that once data is written, it cannot be changed or deleted until a defined retention period expires. Many cloud storage services offer mechanisms that enforce write once, read many behavior, preventing even privileged users from modifying records retroactively. Investigation questions rely on confidence that timestamps, event details, and identity references are accurate. If logs can be edited after the fact, that confidence disappears. Beginners should understand that immutability is not about distrust of administrators. It is about recognizing that compromised credentials can be misused. By enforcing immutability at the storage layer, you protect logs from both malicious tampering and accidental deletion. Tight permissions around log storage are equally important because centralization alone does not guarantee safety. The storage location must be accessible only to specific roles responsible for monitoring, auditing, and compliance. Investigation questions may require reviewing logs from months earlier, and those logs must still be intact and protected. If permissions are too broad, unauthorized identities might view sensitive log details or attempt to disrupt retention settings. Beginners should treat log storage as a high-value asset that demands restricted access and regular review. Permissions should follow least privilege principles, granting only the capabilities necessary for operational needs. This approach reduces the attack surface and limits opportunities for misuse. Monitoring changes to logging configurations is another essential practice. An attacker with administrative privileges may attempt to disable logging before carrying out harmful actions. Control plane logs can reveal when logging services are altered, but only if those logs themselves are protected. Investigation questions often include whether logging was turned off prior to suspicious activity. By capturing and alerting on configuration changes related to logging, you create an early warning system for attempts to blind visibility. Beginners should recognize that log integrity is not static. It requires ongoing attention to ensure that logging remains enabled and correctly configured. Protecting logs includes protecting the mechanisms that generate them. Redundancy can also strengthen log integrity, especially in complex or multi-cloud environments. Storing logs in more than one region or environment reduces the risk of loss due to outages or localized compromise. Investigation questions sometimes arise during system failures, and you do not want your evidence to disappear during the same incident. Redundant storage ensures resilience and continuity. Beginners may view redundancy as excessive, but in security contexts, redundancy supports reliability. When logs are critical to both incident response and compliance, ensuring their availability is a strategic priority. Encryption of log storage adds another layer of protection by safeguarding the confidentiality of log data. Logs often contain sensitive information, such as IP addresses, user identifiers, and resource names. Investigation questions may require examining these details, but unauthorized access to logs could expose additional risk. Encrypting logs at rest and in transit ensures that even if storage is accessed improperly, the data remains protected. Beginners should recognize that protecting integrity also includes protecting confidentiality. Secure logs must be both tamper-resistant and access-controlled. Retention policies must align with immutability settings to maintain integrity over time. If retention is too short, logs may expire before investigation questions can be answered. If retention is too long without clear policy, storage costs and management complexity increase. Protecting log integrity means defining clear retention periods that reflect operational and regulatory needs. Beginners should view retention as part of integrity planning rather than an afterthought. The key is ensuring that logs remain available and unchanged for as long as they are needed, and then are disposed of safely according to policy. Validation and auditing reinforce log integrity by periodically confirming that logging systems are functioning as expected. Investigation questions lose credibility if logging pipelines fail silently. Regular checks can confirm that logs are being transmitted, stored, and retained properly. Beginners should appreciate that systems can drift over time, and logging infrastructure is no exception. Auditing log integrity ensures that protections remain effective even as environments evolve. Centralization also enhances correlation across identity, control plane, and data access logs. When logs from multiple sources converge in a protected location, investigators can reconstruct events more efficiently. Investigation questions often require tracing activity across categories, and centralized storage simplifies that process. Beginners should understand that integrity and usability are connected. Protected logs are most valuable when they are also accessible for authorized analysis. Protecting log integrity using centralized storage, immutability controls, and tight permissions transforms logging from simple record-keeping into a trustworthy investigative foundation. Logs become reliable evidence that can withstand scrutiny during incidents, audits, and compliance reviews. For new learners, the core lesson is that visibility without protection is fragile. By separating log storage from operational systems, enforcing immutability, restricting permissions, encrypting sensitive details, and validating logging pipelines regularly, you create a resilient foundation for cloud security. In environments where configuration can change rapidly and identities can be compromised unexpectedly, trusted logs provide clarity and accountability. When integrity is preserved, your cloud environment remains transparent, defensible, and capable of supporting confident decision-making during even the most challenging situations.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.